It's weird. Like it won't let me set itself up early. Okay. Some reason it's tripped itself out.
You want to see it?
Weird. Like it won't let me set itself up early. Feedback. Whoa, it's the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. Jeanette, Andrew, baby Ozzy.
Baby Ozzy.
She's here.
Welcome. Beautiful. So officially, how old is Ozzy, right?
Yeah.
Ozzy Willow?
Ozzy Willow learner. She's 12 days today.
12 days. Look at that.
And she's doing great. We've taken her to the beach at day 6. We took her to the beach already, and we've taken her outside and we've exposed her to the elements. And, she's got exploring eyes. Like she's aware and she's looking and she's engaging. She's a psyched little baby. She's psyched to see the world.
Epic. I think that's officially the youngest guest of all time. 12 days. Wow.
Yeah, we got that. We took her to the last 12 minutes or like the last 10 minutes of church yesterday. And all these people were like, we couldn't believe they were seeing an 11-day-old baby. They were just blown away. But she's so good. Like she goes into rooms and she's not flipping out.
Yeah.
And I think,
she gets it.
Yeah.
She's definitely a diamond soul all the way already.
So how are the both of you feeling? Like tired, worn out?
No.
Not really. We heard everyone tells us that, you're not going to be sleeping, but we synced up a system with her real quick. And we wake up, we feed her, we take care of her and go back to sleep, zonk out a few hours. And like, I'm back at the desk working and she's home and we're here together and we're just taking care of it. But like, we get full sleep. It's kind of crazy to say.
Awesome.
She's an awesome baby.
Yeah. You're pumped.
We're pumped. We're so fired up. Getting out of the hospital, was a wild experience. So when we came home, we were just so amped to be home. And so grateful for everything that happened at the hospital and everything that we had the strength to do and stand up for. We had a crazy experience at the hospital.
Yeah, explain what went on at the hospital.
All right, so anyway, we had planned on going to a hospital because we're young new parents, and that's kind of what we always intended was what we were going to do. So we went to her
at least
doctor
for the first
time around. And the whole time we're at the doctor, they're saying that, Jeanette's just having the most textbook pregnancy, that everything is going smooth according to plan and everything's growing right and the baby's in the right spot. And this is going to be the easiest push out, hands down. And then maybe the day of when she starts feeling contractions, we were even just saying, maybe we could have even done a home birth and see what happens. But then she starts timing the things. I'm timing her contractions. She's like, all right, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling some pain. She's doing her breathing exercises. And we're just like, all right, I think this is happening, but it's still early.
I mean, it all kind of happened very quickly. So I was a little bit shocked, how far, along I was progressing in such a short amount of time. So I just was I just had a hunch to just call my doctor either way, just to see if I could just talk to someone on the phone and see maybe we should go to the hospital or not. And it was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And usually my doctor's office, they close at 5, but that night they happened to be open till 7. So, and I didn't know that until they called and they're like, yeah, just come on in and we'll monitor you. And we're like, all right. So we packed our car right away and we took off. And they put me on the monitors for like, I don't know, 25 minutes. And the doctor came in and she was like, okay, you're definitely like moving, things are moving along. Just hang on for like a couple more minutes and she'll be right back. So then she came back and she looked at the monitor again and she saw that there was like a blip in the heart rate. And then she was like, let me just check dilation really quick. And I was dilated at 3 centimeters. So she was like, she was concerned about that blip. So she was like, I'm going to send you to the hospital just so they can monitor you in case, just to be on the side of caution and just go now. We're like, okay.
So she wasn't ready yet, but they were like, go to the hospital just in case. And we get to the hospital and we check in and they sit us down and they start just monitoring her and answering, these questions about, family history and whatever. And the doctor comes in and just starts like going, yeah, okay, good. And he's just super calm. And he's like, yeah, the heart rate's going down. It's getting low. We're probably going to have to do a C-section. And he's just like talking super calm. And as he's talking really calm, more doctors start walking in. And there's like 12 doctors like in at this point, like putting IVs in her, loading her up on a table. And like within seconds, they're wheeling her out right into the operating room. And they're like, all right, we got to go. We were
not even in the hospital for like, it was like 15 minutes. We like just got to her room. I put the gown on, I put socks on. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm getting rolled to the OR. The two of us are like, our minds are like being blown right now. We're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is crazy.
Oh yeah.
And
this was the last thing we saw coming. Like we did a lot of our research about what to expect with the nurses and all the jabs they're going to try to put in her. And like, we had a birth plan and everything was ready. And then this just was a wrench thrown in haywire. And like, before I realized that she's wheeled out and I'm just sitting in a chair with all these bags in my hand, like, what's going on? And like, nobody's here. I'm just by myself. And then they come in and they're just like, they give me some scrubs and they're like, all right, you got to come in now. And I get in there like in about 30 seconds after I walk in the door, that baby comes out.
Yeah. Like when I was getting wheeled like through the hallway and through the OR doors, like in my head, I was freaking out. But then like once they're like, all right, they're going to get the spinal tap now. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is happening. Like, I'm just going to accept it and just like calm down and just, it is what it is. And then like, I was wondering like, where's Andrew? Cause like, I'm already like half cut open. I'm like, and I hear the doctor like screaming. The doctor's like, bring the husband in. And then he walked right in. Like the baby came out like 30 seconds after he walked in the room. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
So what we believe happened was that the cord wrapped around the neck, and during contractions, it was clamping on the cord like you would clamp a hose with water, and it was cutting oxygen off to her. And so she was in distress. And then even worse, when she was in distress, she started like having freak out and she started pooping in the amniotic sac. And if she was there any longer, she could have inhaled it in her lungs, and it was really wild how there was like, I mean, there's no question that there was people looking out, the diamond souls, the energy, like people were telling us like, you got to go to the doctor now on a hunch, and you got here in the nick of time. And that's like the one crazy thing is like, while we thought about a home birth, like there's a double-edged sword with a hospital. Like you need hospitals for certain things. They saved our baby's life, and she came out like 110%. And then they came out, and like the whole adrenaline is washed over me, but I'm still in my head, like remembering, okay, baby's out. Now you gotta be ready. Like like, we did our research, like everyone makes their own decision, but we had decided that, we didn't want her to be sauced at the spot in the hospital. And we decided that there's a couple things they are going to give to her, push on her. They're going to push this HEP injection. They're going to push this vitamin K injection, but the injection has a lot of chemicals in it that we're not okay with. And we did a lot of research. There are vitamin K drops. There are other alternatives that are, of course, not approved by the hospital because there's no pharma in it. Mm-hmm. But we know that they were going to push that. So the baby's out and I'm with Jeanette and we're just like relieved that she's crying and she's healthy and happy. And then I'm looking and there's just a big screen in front of her. And I'm like, all right, where's my daughter? Where's the baby? So I see her over there on a table and I just go to Jen. I'm like, I'm going to go over there and I'm staying by my baby and I'm hanging out with her. And then sure enough, this nurse comes in and she's like, oh, congratulations. Like they're all distracting me. They're like, do you want to take a picture, cut in the cord? Do you want your phone? You want some camera pictures? And then this nurse rolls in and she puts this big bag of needles down and she's just like cleaning her hands and everything. And I'm just like, hi, how are you? Like very polite and everything. And she goes, yeah, I'm the nurse. I'm going to give her a few injections. I'm going to put this ointment on her eyes. And I'm like, does she need to take that right now? And she's like, yeah, she does. She's an antibiotic and everything. And I'm like, well, what are those? And she's like, well, this is vitamin K. And they're like, she needs this because she's going to have a brain bleed and she can't blood clot and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, we've researched this. We actually want to take the drops, these natural drops that we've read about. And she's like, well, those drops aren't certified by our pediatrician and you won't be able to give them here under our hospital because we haven't approved them. And she needs this right now. And I'm like, well, I'm really not okay giving that to her right now. And she's like, you're going to have a refusal. And I realized that I had to keep just almost pushing off a question like, well, do I have time to wait? Or is there a pediatrician I can talk to see if there's another shot you have with better ingredients? And that question caught her off guard because then she's like, okay, I can't answer that question and I can't make a decision that may get me in trouble, I guess. So she backed off. She's like, okay, I'll talk to the pediatrician and have someone come to you later. And she walked away. And then I was like, okay, first clearance passed, like all good. We're in the recovery room with Jeanette and we're all good. And then we're like, all right, we're getting ready to go up to the room to the hospital room, I guess, post everything. And, we thought that was it, but we're not people that go to the hospitals. Like I've never been in major surgery. She's never up until then. So we didn't really know what goes on when you're in a hospital and you get admitted into a hospital and stayed in a hospital. And they send us up there and we go to this room that has no working heat the second we're up there. Like their heater's broken and it's this cold, like
it was like 35 degrees
room.
that night.
Really?
And we're there and this is when we're all like just emotional. Like this has just been a real emotional whirlwind with everything that just happened to us. And then this nurse walks in maybe at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And she's like, I'm here to take vitals and check on the baby. And the room is freezing. Like I'm wearing every layer I possibly have and I'm shivering. And she takes the baby's thermometer and she goes, oh, this is too low. I'm going to have to report this. And we just say, no, like it's freezing. Like, can we get some heat in here and can you try this again? And then we had another nurse that came and I guess was more favorable to us. And she did a bunch of measurements saying like, come on, just be higher. Because everyone can tell this baby's healthy, but it's all about like the checkpoints for the hospital. Like they need things to pass certain levels. And she luckily got that level that the nurse said, all right, it's 97. That's the bare minimum. I'm writing that in and we're leaving you alone. And that's when I realized I looked at Jeanette and I'm like felt like we have to just pass all these tests and examinations in order to leave. And anything that doesn't happen, like we're just like, they're going to put her in another room or they're going to take her to a heat room or a heat lamp or they're going to keep us longer. Like it felt very uncomfortable just realizing that every couple hours we had someone else
knocking on the door.
And there's no locks in these rooms. There's no privacy. They pop in at all hours when you're half asleep and they're just saying, we're here to do tests. And you just feel like you're almost running through a gauntlet. Like you just want to pass all these tests so you can leave. But it was just a really uncomfortable, I guess this is what the administrative side of a hospital is, but it felt really unpleasant. Like there was nothing warm about it at all. And that was it for the baby. And then for Jeanette, she's post C-section recovery. And this is the problem of not being educated. Like we read up on what to expect for a childbirth. We didn't read up on what to expect for a C-section. So we didn't know about what kind of medicines they want to give her or anything. And I think that's the one thing that we've learned about any kind of like hospital experience is you need to do whatever research you can to be and try to ask the questions to understand what they're going to do. They came in the next morning with these needles and they were like, we're going to inject blood thinners in you. And we're kind of at a point where we're like, we kind of have to trust them a little bit, but we were asking questions, but we also weren't really knowledgeable about that. And they're saying she needs these, you need to give her this injection. You need to give her this injection every day for 2 weeks because she's had a C-section and she's in bed and she could have blood clots and die. Like they always make it sound really scary. Like they really try to make it sound intimidating. So they're like, you need this. You have to give her this.
And after he gave me the first injection, I was like, and she's like, yeah, you have to do it since we did it in the morning today, he's going to have to do it every morning for the next 2 weeks. I'm like, he's going to stab me in the stomach. Like every morning, the first thing I do, wake up, he's going to stab me in the stomach with a needle for 2 weeks. I'm like, this sounds freaking terrible. I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah. So we luckily passed every test. The baby was just a star. And we got discharged from the hospital about 2 days later. And it was just, by the end, we were just like, I want to get the hell out of here. Like there was nothing warm or pleasant about this. This is also, so by the way, this is NYU hospital. This is a New York City metropolitan hospital. And this is the hospitals that take care of all state funded insurance. And it's a weird feeling. It feels very weird. And then at the end, when you start seeing the estimates of your bill and they say, it's going to cost all of this, but insurance is covering this and you're paying only this. And you just get this feeling like there's nothing free. Like there's something being paid for somewhere else. Like they were pushing a lot of stuff on us. It was almost like, this was like, we're going to cover you guys. You're here. And if we weren't if we didn't have the kind of just experience we had the last year and a half with the tribe, building our own souls, dealing with our own shadows, feeling comfortable and confident with ourselves, we could have been talked into a lot of things to give her, a lot of things to give her. And it, at the end, we considered it a real success. We got discharged from the hospital and there was absolutely nothing put into this baby. Not one thing. And it was like for 2 days, it felt like they tried. And it felt like they wanted to get her on something or get her to a pediatrician to get her. They jabbed her in the foot at about 3 a.m.
The foot jabbing thing's gnarly, dude.
It was
horrible.
He was sleeping because it was he's a very deep sleeper. So I was awake. I just heard in the hallways blood curdling baby screams all night. I'm like, Andrew, do you hear what's going on? And he's asleep. I'm like, all right. Then they knock on our door. I'm like, okay. And she's she wheels the baby out, and then our baby's blood curling screaming. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, the blood thing in the foot, that was the last time we went to the witch doctors too. That was the deal breaker because it was so hectic, man.
Yeah.
Just the same thing. So you had a C-section and they laced you up and you were out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like walking like the next day, which was pretty crazy.
Really?
She
Yeah.
was. But
Mm.
she eats well. She eats organic. She doesn't put poison in her body.
Yeah.
And then the next day, and then we get home and they give us this discharge list and all of these and the prescription for this blood thinner needle that they wanted me to give to her for 2 weeks. And I'm exhausted. I go to the pharmacy and they say, your prescription's not ready. And I'm thinking this is bad because they said you got to give it to her every morning or she could have blood clots and die. Like they always throw it like that. So I freak out and I start calling her doctor in the middle of the night. And I say, I need, I need this thing. Right. And she goes, well, I put the prescription in. Sometimes it takes a few days for your insurance to pass it because it's a new drug they've just rolled out and said that all C-section women have to get. Like apparently this was a year ago, and outside of the New York City area, this was not something that was standard. This was just a new This was a new thing. So I go, well, she's supposed to have this dose at 10 a.m. this morning, and you say it takes a couple days to approve. Is that a big deal? And the doctor says, oh no, she'll be fine. She's already walking. She won't need this. And my mouth drops. I'm like, what? Like this hospital made it sound like life and death to give her this thing. And then I go back and I start researching this drug. And what it was is there was one case where there was one woman who was over 40 and basically just ate McDonald's, and like your typical, like a pregnant woman who just ate Pizza Hut, McDonald's, and was so overweight that after a C-section, she couldn't get out of bed for 7 days. And she had a history of blood clotting and she died. So, you always find it funny when there's a death that supports the rollout of a drug. One death is too many. But if there's a death that debates a drug getting rolled out, they kind of go, it's not that big a deal. But that's my thought. Anyway, so I'm just like, okay, I'm reading about this. Now that I'm home, I'm getting educated. And I say, this is a conflicting debate, because now they've rolled out for the 1.2 women who get C-section, they all need this blood thinner drug. And this blood thinner drug is not minor. It's, they told Jeanette, like, if she gets a paper cut, and she's also just had major surgery, like this blood thinner drug, she could bleed out. But they don't seem to care about that. They're just like, you got to take this drug because it prevents blood clotting, without telling us the risks of somebody taking a blood thinner, someone young and someone healthy who's walking around. And then I look at the discharge paper where they give us this instruction on blood thinners, which has the NYU logo on it, but it's printed off of a website for LexiComp. And it's printed from the website of the drug company. Sure. And then I read more that a lot of health insurance companies are not approving this because it's a very expensive new drug that they are pushing out on all women with C-sections. And it just sounds like it's really more of a thing for women who don't take care of themselves. Once again, people getting medicine pushed on them, people that don't take care of their bodies and are feeling sick. And then they're being basically given all these big pharma things because they're not taking care of themselves. So Jeanette, a few days afterwards, is walking, talking, the baby's healed. She just had Motrin, and that's it. Post-surgery, we're walking around like every other person is like, oh my God, I was in so much pain. I could barely move. And we're just like, we're not like that. And then our baby is walking, is moving and active and engaged. And everyone else says, newborns are like, they flop around. They're not doing much. They're sleeping, they're crying, they're keeping you up all night. And I just start questioning, like, what if I wasn't there to stop them from putting these things in my baby? Like, you just start noticing she's already different. Like it's a strange feeling.
Yeah. That whole hepatitis thing's a trippy scene, man. Like that they came for us on that one too. It didn't make any sense. Like, I get it if you're like a prostitute or an intravenous drug user, but it's that weird one size fits all thing, man. Like, this is what we do. And I'm on the same thing. We were super grateful we ended up in a hospital, because he had the same thing. The umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, and
Right.
like, I wouldn't have wanted to be home birthing that, but
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's like there are things like you need a hospital.
I think that's where it's all gone off the deep end. Like, is it's this whole like the good is totally getting overshadowed by this money grab corporate goonage, man. So it's like you can't even trust these people to make it. But like those delivery doctors are pretty focused in what they're doing. Like, they're pretty straight. Like, we had a guy, he was like super straight, like
oh, yeah,
what we're doing, boom, boom, boom. And the little like mobile NICU nurses were like super rad, but it was like but that little group of people, then you're out of their hands and you're back to like the basic staff, if you will, which was like a whole different crew entirely.
100%. Our doctor was incredible. And there were some people that we really liked, but then, like you said, just the minions coming around and like with a clipboard, just checking things off. They were just doing what the administration was telling them. And they were not people we were fans of.
Yeah, it's interesting. The whole scare tactic thing, all just across the board, man, it's a bit much.
It is. It's also like, you could be one, if we were aggressive, or if we were like, rah, you're not putting that in my kid, or we started shouting or making a scene, like, it would have gone bad too. It's like, you can politely decline things, but you just have to keep your calm. Like you said, when you're talking to a cop, like, if you start getting all hostile and everything, like, then they have the power to say like, all right, well, we're calling security. Like, you're being this, you're being that. So like, it's a strange thing. It's like you have to be firm, but you can't be psychotic about it when you're like standing up to them. It's like you still have to be polite and everything.
Yeah.
Even when you're doing something you don't want.
Well, it's that weird thing, right? It's this. It's that weird thing, man. Like, I get to like with the whole baby thing, is they're like, people are having babies in like the harshest conditions ever all over the planet, and they're just fine. Like, you know what I mean? It's the irony of their argument is like, so doctors, like, how do you explain your overpopulation issue that you're talking about? If it's, I mean, I get that it's like a thing, but I mean, I guess, the infant mortality rate's climbing in this country because we're losing our minds, but it's that whole weird thing. Well, good for you, man. I'm glad you guys had your plan together.
Well, it's important to also just say that, like, for any woman, whether you don't really know what what your plan is, but like things don't go to plan, but it's really important that your partner that you bring with you to the hospital is going to be there 100% to advocate for you, because you really can't, like, whether you had a C-section or a normal vaginal birth, like, you need to focus on yourself at that point. And you really need someone I thank God for Andrew, because like, I wouldn't have been able to done any of this.
No, that's the gig, is like the woman's completely shot out. They just gave birth. Like, that's that weird thing, right? Like, it's hectic in there. Mm-hmm. Like, it sounded like it all happened real quick for you guys, but when we were in there for a couple, like, I think we were in there like a solid 36, like, do it like in labor, and then by you're shot out after a while. Like, when it happens, it's like and then like they keep the weird schedule and the weird hours, and you're like, You're doing what? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was it was an experience. We're glad we're out of it. That's all we can say. But we basically we went to the hospital and we stood up, we did our thing, we did our dance. They took their shots at us and we said, thanks for the ride. We'll take our baby. We're out. So
here you are doing it. Good for you. Like that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. So she arrived into our arms on November 3rd, and her due date was supposed to be on November 5th. And the whole time we were all amped about that. We were like, oh, it's Guy Fawkes Day. It was like, remember the 5th of November. And we're the first night we're home, we're up all hours and everything. And this was the November 5th was when the concert in Texas happened. And Jeanette was reading about this thing. And we were just like, then we watched your thing with Jordan and she was like over the moon. Like we were just like, thank God she wasn't born on that day. But just having a kid and just being parents now, our eyes are wide open to the war on children. It's really terrifying.
Well, yeah, I mean that and the war on women, man, it seems to be pretty coordinated. It gets an empowering thing, man. Like it's all so gnarly. I was just down at one of these mandate protests and like, I don't know, man. It's just a weird, like I have to admit my energy is a little it's one of those off days. Like it's just not it's not functioning, dude. But it's like the energy is intense right now, man. Like I can feel like a different energy. I think we walked into a different energy field in the last 24 hours. I don't know about you guys, but like just seems like the gear shifted. I don't really know what it is, man. But once you got a baby, it's a skin in the game, right? Like there's you can't be a pessimist about it at all.
No way. I'm 15 days sober as of now. I'd stopped drinking on the 1st in anticipation of this. And it just, right now I feel as soon as she came out, it was like a click changed. It's like, it's not about you. Like you had your fun, you're doing your thing, but like, I'm here to be a protector now. Like, it's something strange kicks in you. And you just realize that these two are special people. And these people, I'm just a guy who's here to take the power, take the brunt, stand up and defend my girls. And it's not like a guy versus girl, like battle thing. It's like, no, I'm like, this is my role. Is like, these are special people. These are to every person, like every child.
You're supposed to guard the entrance to the cave from the saber-toothed tiger, dude. I told you, the caveman technology kicks in. Like you're like, oh, okay, like it's pretty cut and dry. Like defend and protect and make sure they're okay and keep the heat on.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was fun. We have a funny story too. We call it our victory from the hospital experience. And so what we wanted to do is, so you can take the placenta, which is what the baby feeds off of, and you can have it dehydrated and turned into pills that she can eat and breastfeed to the baby. Now, our hospital wouldn't allow that.
Really?
Wouldn't allow us to take it because they test for this thing. It's called a group B strep. And it's just it's a bacteria that is
1 in 4 women have it. And if you do have it, then they'll put you on antibiotic when you're delivering. And I tested positive for it. And our hospital has a rule that if you test positive, then you can't take the placenta home with you because of one incident.
Right. So we talked to a person that gets the placenta and does this service. And we had talked to her, and other hospitals people who test for positive for this, no problem, because when they prepare the placenta properly, they steam it for 12 hours and they basically superheat it and dehydrate it. So it's like cooking a chicken. Like you take all the bacteria out if you heat it up high enough. But with this hospital, they said one time someone went home, took it home themselves, and got really sick. And I asked them, and I asked them, well, what's the details about that? Like, did they prepare it right? Did they heat it? They say, we don't know, but we just won't take the chance. So you can't take it. So we heard about this ahead of time. So I go to Jeanette, I say, we're going to take this. We're going to take the placenta ourselves.
This was like, we already planned this out before the day of the delivery. So
yeah,
we like devised our plan saying we're gonna take it no matter what anyone tells us. So
yeah, we said it's our choice. It's her organ. We're comfortable with the woman that, doesn't work for the hospital. So the hospital is probably just saying we're covering our bases, but we knew that. So when we go to the hospital, I had a cooler with me loaded with ice and was ready during the whole thing to figure out how to do this. The C-section happens. There's 12 doctors in the room. And all of a sudden I'm like,
everything's hectic.
I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But I go to the doctor that was a really great guy. And I whispered to him, I say, listen, I want to take the placenta home. So he's like, all right, don't leave it. Don't send it to pathology, keep it. And, they want to take it home. And then after I deal with the nurse and all of the sauces she wants to give, he comes to me and says, listen, you can't take it because of this whole bacteria, whatever. I'm like, but it's our organ. Like, I want to take it. I'm willing to accept the risks. I'm like, can I talk to a manager or, somebody and like get a waiver signed? He goes, let me find out. And I guess that just threw off their whole system, because then they didn't send it. They wheeled it with us to the recovery room. And then the manager came and said, I know you want to take this. Our policy is you can't take this. You can't take this. We have to take a pathology. I said, well, can I talk to the director? Like, I really want this. This is our body. And we've just gone through a tremendous amount. And I just keep pushing it. And they say, okay, let me ask somebody. And then I'm with Jeanette just by ourselves in this room. And I look over to my right and there's this big plastic Tupperware tub that looks like a takeout soup container. And I look at her, I go, is that it? She's like, I think it is. And I look around, they're like, there's no one there. I'm like, I'm going to take it. And I just grab it. I throw it in the cooler and I walk to my car. I go to the valet, I get it. I throw it in the trunk of the car and I leave it there overnight because it's like 40 degrees out and it's in a ton of ice. And then I come back, I give Jeanette her phone back. And I say, I got to return the keys. I walk back to the valet to give him the keys. And Jeanette texts me and says, they're here. They're looking for the placenta.
Yeah, you stole your own placenta. Nice.
We had to. And this woman's like, looks at Jeanette. She's like, did you take it? And
yeah.
Jeanette's like,
yeah, we took our placenta.
Jeanette's
we took our placenta and we're going home.
Jeanette said, yeah. So then they're just looking around. And right before we're about to leave, the director of the hospital shows up with 2 security guards and is like, we're sorry to bother you, but there's a missing organ. We need to search everything. These guards are going to search all your bags. And so
really,
with a newborn baby. Yeah, this was like, Jeanette's like in her mind still just like going, oh my God, like they're calling Child Protective Services. We're going to jail, like freaking out. But I'm just like, go ahead. Like, it's not here. There's nothing you out of sight, out of mind. So they look.
The placenta has left the building.
The placenta has left the building.
Wow.
And the next morning I call the placenta people and I say, listen, what car is your husband driving? I'm going to meet him outside. And I wave him outside the hospital. I give him the cooler bag and I'm like, just give this back to me later. I just want to get this off the property. And we walk out and I look at Jen. I'm just like, Operation Nerf football is a go.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Got that. So our little trophy, the woman, when she made it, I guess what she does is she makes a print. She throws the bloody organ on a piece of paper and makes a piece of art out of it. And she gave it to us. So we've got our trophy here. This.
Oh, hectic.
So that's our trophy.
Oh, that's hectic, dude. It's like a brain.
It is. Yeah, they call it the tree of life. Some people do.
That's trippy. Yeah, we had that. Our gal did the thing where I think she dried the actual umbilical cord like into a heart or something.
Yeah,
we did the whole thing too, man. I forgot how I think our friend picked it up for us. I forget how it all went down.
I forget. Yeah, I don't know. I guess every hospital is a different experience, but it's just, if you go to give birth, I'll just say, you just have to have your focus on, like, you have to have your mind clear. You've got to be ready to steer
and ready for the curveball, right?
You got to be ready for a curveball. And it's a whole thing. And it's been a great experience just since having her. We've now realized that with the technology in this day and age, there are so many sources with so many answers, and so many groups would have sources of medicine and caretakers and recommendations. This isn't like back in the day where you just were parents and you said, I don't know what to do, and I got to go to the doctor if there's anything wrong. It's like, now you don't need as much. Not to say that you shouldn't just say no to all medicine or yes to whatever they feed you, but there are so many more resources out there to educate yourself. And to
I think it's that thing is you got to be able to ask the questions. I think that's the whole thing. I think there's that weird like anti thing where it's like, no, it's like you just need to be able to have the conversation and ask the right questions and like allow it to, because they'll either like you said, they'll either like have the answers and it's free flowing, or they're like, oh, wait a minute, like I got to go check with someone else. And that's your big clue, like that you've just broken the narrative.
Yep.
And that's what's so fascinating about this whole time we're in right now. It's what we're about to see, right? Like
and like you said, we're seeing communities building up everywhere. And with all the mandates happening out here in New York too, there are friends I have who have toddlers and kids that are older that are dealing with certain things. And as soon as I started telling them about our experience with the hospital, we started kind of reclicking, and they said, okay, you're kind of on the same page. Like, we're dealing with these things too. And now we're all building a group together with each other. And they're coming to us for some advice, because Jeanette is very good at meeting just other groups of moms on social media. She's found a bunch of people already and found a pediatrician who is very pro parent choice. And get this, we go to this guy, and in New York, we haven't been to a doctor or dentist or anything without having to wear a face diaper. Like, we don't wear them anywhere else, but like, that's the one place where it's like, all right, like that's just kind of the deal. And we go to this pediatrician guy, and there's no one wearing anything. And this is like in New York, like you don't see this at all. And then this pediatrician comes out and he's talking and he says, can I put this down? It helps me talk easier. And we're like, yeah, dude, absolutely. And he was just looking, and he says, listen, they're going to tell you a lot of things. They got to be at this weight, at this age. They got to have this many diapers at this time. He goes, listen, just let them be babies. If there's something wrong, they'll tell you there's something wrong. And he said, your next appointment's in a month. If there's anything major, call me. But like, that's like, we found a pediatrician that we feel good with, because there's other pediatricians we read about, and they're like, no, these guys are,
they have their schedule for their back, whatever.
Yeah, their sauces.
So,
well, that's, I remember like the whole scare tactic, like with don't sleep with your baby thing, like you're going to kill your baby and all that stuff. Like we slept with him the entire time. We were like, we don't drink and do drugs. We're not going to pass out on our child. Like,
yeah,
he literally slept right between our heads for months, 6 months, and like a little baby donut or whatever they are.
Those little nuggets. Yeah, like there's probably people saying like, oh my God, you took them outside, you took them out to the beach already. Like, you know, you're exposing them to the cold. They're tiny. They have immune. Like, we're just like, listen, we trust ourselves. Like, we're not doing something that we feel is wrong. We just aren't living in fear. And that's, I guess, the big message that's happening these days in this world is people living in fear and people that are just trusting themselves, like trusting the energy. Like, we wouldn't do something that felt wrong, but we also don't want to have her sit inside and just do nothing.
I mean, dude, literally, you could go find pictures of people with like digging ditches with babies like tied to their backs, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you gotta get the I had one, the man hammock thing, dude.
Oh, yeah.
The little whatever it is, I forget what it's called, dude.
Yeah.
It was a lifetime ago.
Well, this was the one thing that was on our registry that Andrew said he would never wear. But of course, now he's wearing
the shoulder strap little hammock thing.
Well, no, the shoulder strap.
Well,
the shoulder strap hammock thing is cool.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, dude. Yeah, they tuck right in there, man. They're totally rad.
Check this out.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I had the one with the full. Wait, I saw it not that long ago.
Like a sling, I think that's the one that
the
she
sling. Yeah, thing was rad, dude. I used to go hiking with Owl and the thing all the time, man. Where is it? Wait, I just saw a picture of it recently. Oh wait, hold on.
You gonna be quiet now?
Where is the sling, dude? Wow, they grow up quick, dude. I'm looking back at baby pictures right now, like, holy smokes. Yeah. Now I'm like in the streets protesting with my child, dude. What a crazy world, man.
Right. Yeah.
Like, where is the sling? I got a mustache going on, my cop mustache going on. But yeah, the little, what is it called? It has a name, but it's almost, yeah, but it comes over and there's like a ring and you tighten it and it's just, it's in there, dude. And it's like,
it's like
a, talking about.
We found, there's cool things like that. She had one that she put her on and she just walked around town with her a few days ago. And like, we're already talking like once, like taking her outside, like going on hikes once it's warmer out and just, hey.
Yeah, I mean, like, where is the thing? Oh, I'm almost to the photos. It's somewhere in here. Darn. I used to do the whole, the thing I used to do is when I had him in the stroller, I used to I advise getting the stroller with the pneumatic tires though. I got the bigger one with the 3 and the pneumatic tires, dude. Thing would go over anything, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. We're gonna need that one when we go to Puerto Rico with her and go on all the back roads.
Yeah, but I used to go, like, my thing with that thing is I used to ride my skateboard and push them on the thing. We used to fly with the thing. I guess that's the one when he's a little bit older. Where is the darn, I can't find the picture of the thing. Where's the thing? It's in here, dude. I don't know. But yeah, I highly advise you just get one of those. You're gonna need it. And then you just put them in there because it's that thing, it like perfectly cradles them right in the thing. They're super secure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, anything that just keeps them off of like trying to push TV and stuff on them. We've got friends who are putting their kids on some of these things and after hearing about what happened at the concert, like there's this show called Coco Melon or something,
like
that like her baby watches, and this baby goes crazy now. Like you just start.
It's interesting. Even the like homeschooler stuff's all like, here, dude, with these like, and I'm like, I don't touch any of that. I'm all about pen and paper, and like they're always trying to. It seems like this big push to get them to watch like this educational programming is like the gateway drug to get them onto a screen. Like,
yeah.
Well, I was tripping the other day. I was doing this thing where he's like this, and I was like, "Where'd you pick that up?" And he was like, "It was the pirate in Scooby-Doo," because we've let him watch some old Scooby-Doos, right? And he's like, "The pirate does that in Scooby-Doo," and I was tripping because I was like, "We don't have TVs or do any of that." And he watches every now and then. We show him something. So we were doing Scooby-Doo because that's pretty vanilla. It all started with some Lego Scooby-Doo figures, but I was tripping on how much he picked up from Scooby-Doo. And I was like, man, like those were like pretty vanilla cartoons back then. Like you could argue Scooby-Doo is just basically a drug cartoon, but it just the general kind of vanilla of it all. And then you look at the stuff nowadays, it's so engineered to like, and you're they pick up so much from it, man. It's trippy, dude. The whole thing's trippy, man.
It has. I've already started just like trying to talk to Jen and think of if there's anything we're showing her. Like we're trying to just download stuff from way back, old stuff, nothing new. If we're trying to even show her any kind of entertainment or television,
that didn't come up for us. We pretty much kept him away from any of that till I want to say he was three, four when and it was via somebody else's house. Like in our house, like I don't think we ever put anything in front of him but books. Like just the books. Like we didn't do any of that kind of stuff, man. I mean, I was almost sort of crazy about it. Like I remember like there was in the beginning, I was like, we're not going to do all the toys are going to be wood. I was like, we're going to carve them by hand. Like I remember making this like, the one thing I remember doing that was pretty cool was I made they're in their little baby seat thing, right? Their little bassinet in the house or whatever. I made him his own like mobile out of like stuff I cut out from a magazine and glued onto like hardstock cardboard, like his own mobile with like cool images versus some of the other stuff you can get like that. But I remember like there wasn't any need for any sort of that like electronic stimulation ever. Like we didn't use any of it. Like I know people that do like put the screens in the cars and the whole thing. Like
we're trying to keep her off a screen as long as possible. Since we've come home, we've just played music. We've been playing vinyl records for her.
There you go.
Just trying to just avoid it. I just look at these screens. People are using them as replacements, like to buy a few hours or to buy some time. It's not a tool. It's a tool, but it's not something to replace your time. Like once you don't have to be involved, it's too much of a tool. It's too much of a technology. Like it's not helping. It's buying you some time and basically just.
Well, but that's the interesting thing is there's all sorts of other stuff like I'm pretty pure. Like I'm like a 95%er about all that stuff. Like I'll just look at his books. Like his mom cracks a little bit on that stuff, but like for me, like I've trained him. He'll hang out and just like look at books and stuff like all day long. Get him a bunch of the books are rad, dude. You know.
Yeah. That's it. That's the way to do it. we're going to try that. Like, we're really going to try to stay her off of technology as long as possible. And, you know, I think that's the way to do it. I'm already planning to go to my dad's house, and I'm grabbing all of my old textbooks from when I was a kid and all of my old things, just not for now, but for down the road. Like, I'm like, I want to see all the stuff in my basement. And I want to just say, there's all these resources here that I completely forgot about. And believe it or not, now, you know, 20 years later, they're probably just as relevant, if not more helpful.
Well, that's the beauty of modern time, is like, it really is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I was watching, I didn't read any of I watched my old video from when we had Owl, like my final set. I didn't read any of the books. I didn't read any of the books. You know, it's Ozzy Willow, dude. It's Ozzy Willow.
Tell them about the name.
Yeah. Let's hear about that.
Well, I had like my list of names that I either for like a boy or a girl. And I don't know, in the beginning, we were thinking, we were leaning more towards boy. So we both, out of my list, only like a couple of names that we agreed on, and one of them was Ozzy, because Andrew is like a huge like heavy metal fan. So then we had our gender reveal party, and it was revealed that it was a girl. And I came up to Andrew and I was like, I still really like the name, and like I think we should still use it, and he agreed. And then we realized that, oh, do you want to hear that the first initial was an O, and our last name, the first initial, is an L, and we were getting all like these signs, and also just like from you. So really it's a nod to Owl. And
I get it. I see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's you know, out of much love and respect for you, for Owl and you and your family, and also the tribe. So we wanted to.
That's quite an honor. Like that's amazing. That's super. That's touching.
Yeah. So
like I tell you that it's touching. Today's one of the like I said, the energy is a little off. That's super, like, yeah, we are all in this together, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we went with Ozzy, who's a little bit more hard, and I don't know. So we just wanted to pair it with something a little bit more like feminine and earthy.
Yeah. The backup name.
Yeah.
That's what I joke with Al. His middle name's Keith. I gave my dad's name, but I was like, he's like, why? And I go, it's your backup name, man. Like, in case you don't like the Owl at some point, you got like sort of a rego name.
Yeah.
Like, my middle name's Kevin. My parents did that for me. They're like, if you don't, Hamish doesn't work for you, that you can have like a square name.
But like, once we decided like 100% we were going with this name, like, not even kidding, we started seeing owls everywhere. Like, it was just like the synchronicity of just, you know, deciding it, and then just like really solidified everything. So
they're trippy, powerful animals. That's for sure. Like, a lot of energy. Wow, that's super rad. I'm stoked we get to start out the journey on this together. Like, look at that. The littles. Man, oh man, that's a lifetime ago. That's trippy. Even like that seems so like a distant memory, man. The baby phase, 12 days deep, dude.
And 12 days has flown. We're already we're like, she's growing so fast already, and I'm sure it just gets faster and faster. I'm sure
for like most people, they're probably like the first couple of weeks, because they're probably not sleeping as much or whatever, they're just like, oh, it's like the longest 2 weeks of my life. But honestly, like, this has been like the fastest
No, I think there's a level to it. Like, you know, like Owl didn't give us he's never given us any real trouble like that early on. Like we slept fine. Like, you know, he was always breastfeeding. I mean, it's a different story for mom, but he was constantly hungry. But it's I think it's that thing of like this little stimulation as possible with all the electromagnetic. They kind of just chill to the circadian rhythm of it all. And,
right.
you know,
And also just, I don't know, out of maybe like speculation, but that she wasn't like sauced at all in the hospital, that like she's not like fighting anything off.
Yeah, we had the same thing too. Like, no, that's where you get into the God technology, man. Like how it all, the breast milk and the breast and the antibodies and the whole, like, it's pretty amazing when you get into the whole thing, dude. And you're like, and they try to sway you from that. Cause we got all spooked in the beginning with the belly Reuben thing, you know, like, but then our friend was like, don't even sweat it, dude. Just get them into the sun, you know. But it was that same, like, they're gonna die. And you're like, dude, like you get scared, man. It's you're little.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I got something to send you guys too in honor of little Ozzy Willow. Ah,
Ozzy.
Beautiful. Well, I'm gonna let you two go. Hey, you know what? Thanks so much for sharing. Like that's sort of next level radical what's going on. Like in that sense of like the change of all the energy here. Like I definitely like this, and I really do appreciate the both of you just coming on so quickly and sharing a newborn baby with us. It's inspiring. Yeah. It's what it's all about, everybody, is there's the reason you get up and you defend the children, defend the women and children. What do you want? Come on in, Bird. No, we're do you want to come see a baby? With that's got initials similar to yours, huh? Hey.
Love it.
And he's out. Yeah, just soon enough. Enjoy this phase before they're All right, you guys. Well, we'll be back on. We'll have you back on here as a progress. Well, let's this is super inspiring. I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of in awe of it all.
Oh,
congratulations. I'm so happy for the two of you.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm always available on the phone for any like help or whatever, you know, so don't hesitate to call.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Have a beautiful evening. Bye, Ozzy. All right.
All right. Thanks so much.
No, thank you. Beautiful.
Good night.
Good evening.